Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're doing a prenatal practice. I am using some props. You can see I've got a bolster and there's actually a couple of blocks under the bolster. You do not need to have these to do the practice, but if you have them, this might feel like a nice shape to find. I will recommend if you don't have these, you do your initial meditation sitting up rather than laying down. If you have a couple of blocks, I've got one on its second highest setting, one on its lowest, and the bolster's just leaning up against those. Then I come to resting with my hips right against the bolster. Lots of options for the legs. My legs are currently crossed. I could also bend my knees or extend my legs. Even soles of feet together, knees out to the sides. Any of those that are going to feel comfortable on your body. And when I roll down, I just make sure that the bolster is supporting my head. Again, if I didn't have this set up, perhaps coming to a wall or just sitting upright. We are going to use the bolster for a back bend. So I would say if you don't have a bolster, grab a couple of beach towels and that'll work just fine. And once you're relaxed in the shape, it feels supportive. You can take one hand to the top of the tummy, second hand to the bottom of your tummy, giving your baby a sweet hug. So I love to include the babies in the practice. I think they are absolutely aware of what is going on in your mind, how you feel. So by giving them a little hug, they know this is a good place to be. And as we take a few breaths, relaxing into this original shape, let's focus on gratitude, whatever it is we're grateful for today. Take a few breaths, resting, breathing together. Again, remember, you could always do this sitting up. As you're ready, bending into the knees, planting the feet. As those arms come down to the sides, maybe let the legs just go side to side, very gentle release for the hips. So if I was sitting up, I would bring my hands to my hips, on the mat near the hips, and just do the same thing. If your body's like mine, when I do this, I always scoot forward, so don't worry if that's happening. And if you're sitting up, we'll meet with our legs comfortably crossed. If you are on the bolster, rolling to one side and then using your hand to press yourself up. And we'll put the bolster and the blocks off to the side for now. Let's sit up nice and tall. Finding a little bit of release into our necks. We're going to rotate through the neck. We'll do chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head goes back, slow and easy. And then as you're ready, reverse, opposite direction. as that head comes back up to center. Let's bring our left hand onto the mat, right arm next to the right ear. Maybe that left hand slides out as we open up the right side of the body. Breathing into this shape, reach with those fingers. Side bends give us a little more space to breathe. You've taken prenatal with me, you've heard me say, every day your baby's taking up a little more space, as they should, right? But it helps to stretch and give yourself a little more space to breathe. And as you inhale, center, right hand down, left arm up, right hand can stretch out, the left arm reaches overhead. As you're ready, inhale back to center. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. So when we have soles of the feet together, target area is the inner thighs. To decrease intensity, feet come forward. To increase intensity, you can bring those heels closer in. I could also fold forward, obviously depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy, it's going to limit how far forward you can come. So if you'd like, let that heart come forward, letting your hands come onto the feet. Just taking a few breaths here. Maybe feeling that stretch a little bit in the low back. Even though I'm folding forward, I'm trying to keep my low back nice and long. Carefully finding your way up to sitting. Let's once again find our cross-legged shape and put your non-habitual leg in front. So that's whatever leg you don't normally put in front. However we sit, that's our habit. We're just reversing it. Once you've got that, we'll bring hands to the hips, and then we come forward, over to the side, roll back, slow and easy. And then reverse opposite direction. As you come back to center, bring yourself up to a sitting shape, and let's find our way onto hands and knees. When I'm on my hands and knees, my knees are under my hips, and perhaps my shoulder, elbow, wrist come into one line. As I inhale, dropping the belly, back of the head and the tailbone go high. As I exhale, tuck chin, tuck tailbone, rounding the back to the sky. Inhale, this is cow. Exhale, this is cat. Now, as you continue along in your pregnancy, it's going to be harder to find these shapes just because you've got another person right there. That's your baby. So just find a range of motion that is going to allow you to move your spine. Something like what I'm doing. It might be significantly more, it might be significantly less. And as you come back to a neutral spine, let's go ahead and extend our right arm forward. And extending the left leg back, I'm going to tuck my left toes to start. And then if I want to, I could lift that left leg. This is going to work your core. As I'm ready, right hand down, left knee down. Take a moment, draw hips and shoulders towards each other. And when you come back to center, let's extend that left hand forward, thumb points to the sky. Start by extending the right leg back with tucked toes. You can work here if you want. Lift that right leg. Left hand down, right knee down. This time I'm going to just rotate through my hips. So rotations can feel pretty nice when you're in labor. Go ahead and rotate the other direction. You could just rest your hands on the bed or on a counter and find this rotation movement. And as you're ready, coming back to hands and knees. One more little bit of work for our hips. Let's go ahead and bring that right foot back with tucked toes. Take a moment, press into the legs. So it's like I'm pressing through my heel, getting a little stretch. And then as I'm ready, I'm going to inhale onto my big toe, roll to the inner blade of my foot, and roll to the outer blade. Back and forth a couple times like this. So if your wrists are getting tired or cranky here, you could always do this from your forearms. Same shape, it just takes it out of the wrist. Carpal tunnel can be common in pregnancy, so your wrist might feel a little cranky. And then as you're ready, bring that right knee in, stretch the left leg back, press first with the heel. And as you come onto that big toe, we're going to roll to the inner blade and then to the outer blade. Back and forth a few times. Again, giving yourself permission if you want to lower down to the elbows. That could feel pretty good. And last one. This time as you come to the knees, think about sitting back, hips to heels, clasping your hands together, and think of making a figure 8 with your wrist. Maybe go the opposite direction. You can go slow. And then just shake it off. If sitting this way is not agreeable, come to a comfortable cross-legged sit. And let's extend our right hand forward. I'm going to take my left hand to those right fingers, draw those fingers back. Again, just looking for a stretch in the wrist here. And then reverse, left hand, bring the right hand to the fingers, draw those fingers back. And go ahead and release. Making sure you're comfortable, we're going to do just a little more work for the neck. So if sitting this way is not working again, please move to a sitting shape that feels better on your body. Let's take our left ear towards our left shoulder, and I'm even going to let this left arm hang down here. So I'm not going to be tempted to bring that shoulder up. Just opening the right side of the neck. Your back is naturally going to have some challenges being pregnant. As you continue your pregnancy, the curves in your back are going to change. Inhale, center. And this time I'll let that right hand hang down, right ear to right shoulder. I'm going to keep that shoulder down. So it can be that the neck, the back have a little more discomfort than they typically would. And you just notice as we're practicing today if some of these stretches help. And then maybe you do those. You don't have to do a whole practice every day. You can. But you could also notice cat-cow really helps, or a hip stretch we do helps. Anything along those lines. And as you're ready, inhale back to center. Once again, come onto hands and knees. Step that right foot forward, and we're in a lunge. Speaking of hip stretches. From here, I could keep hands on that thigh. I'm real strong through my right foot and my left shin. If I want to intensify this stretch, I'm going to increase the distance between my front foot and my back knee. I could also bring my hands onto the mat. Just make sure that you're not putting a lot of pressure into the wrists. No reason I can't keep both hands on my thigh, and sometimes I like to roll onto the outer blade of that front foot. Today it feels good for me to be right here. Please honor the shape that your body's asking for. That's absolutely more important than what I'm suggesting. Taking a few breaths here. So we work in prenatal yoga to help the hips to be nice and open. You're actually releasing a hormone when you're pregnant called relaxin. It's going to help make you more flexible, more open for your delivery. If you're already highly flexible, I would say take caution as we're practicing. So coming into shapes that are maybe 75% of what your body's allowing you to do. You don't have to push it and go to that full range of motion. Just finding another breath or two here. And as you're ready, I like to bring my hands down, draw that right leg back until I'm on my hands and knees. I notice cat-cow, hips to shoulders, rotation of the hips. What is it I'd like to do before I do the second side? Maybe it's a little bit of everything. And then as I'm ready, I'm gonna step that left foot forward. So strong through my front foot, strong through my back shin. Hands on the thigh. Again, I could increase the distance or come onto the outer blade of the front foot. Both sides, you can look and feel totally different side to side in any shape, not just this one, literally in any shape. So just be aware of that, that it may be that what felt perfect on the first side is not agreeable on the second side, and honor that. Also permission to move, so maybe I start in one variation and then I want to move to a different variation. That's okay. And as I'm ready to come out, hands to the mat, I'm going to draw that left foot back, touch my big toes together, knees will go as wide as the mat. I'm going to find child shape. So if my head does not want to come down to the mat, I could make some soft fists, stacking them and rest my head down. And the more pregnant you are, it may become more challenging to get your head down. You could also have your arms come to the sides. If your head comes down, you could use a blanket or a block if your head doesn't quite come down to the mat. Let's just take a few moments here. This is a resting shape, but it's also a good stretch on the hips. So if it's, again, not feeling very agreeable, just rest sitting up for a moment. You could close your eyes. ready, find your way back to hands and knees. And this time, let's draw those knees a little closer. Tuck your toes, walk your hands back till your knees start to lift. Let them go nice and wide. Take a moment here. Imagine being a little froggy. If you've got toddlers at home, have them do this. They'll start hopping all over the place. We're not going to do that. And then as I'm ready, I'm going to press through my feet and my hands until my legs go too straight. You're fine where you are. I'm just going to shift so you can see me a little better. So I want to keep my feet wide enough to accommodate my baby. And maybe my hands don't touch the ground. I could always bend the knees, bring the forearms above the knees. And take a moment, gently shake the head no. That's how I check if my head and neck are relaxed. And gently nod yes. Yes, I am grateful. As you're ready, hands on the hips, roll yourself up. Take a moment, shake it off. And we should be near the back of the mat. If you're not, just take a moment, step to the back of the mat. Let's step our right foot forward, plant that left foot out at an angle. I'm going to keep these hips square to the front, bend that front knee, arms next to the ears. This is warrior one. From here, think of lifting your heart, just tiny back bend. As I inhale back to center, I'm going to swim those hands behind, clasp them together, and think of bringing this right shoulder towards that right knee. Now, if it's in your practice to drop your shoulder inside the knee, you can do that. That might be a little more challenging, being pregnant. And then arms could rest on the back, or they can go up to the sky. Gaze down at the toes, bring both hands down, step that left foot up, and step your right foot back. Strong legs here. Let's come up. Warrior one, second side. Again, gentle lift, letting that heart lead. Inhale, center. Bring those arms behind. Notice which thumb you put on top. That's your habit. Put your opposite thumb on top. And again, think of that left shoulder either resting on the knee or it could rest inside. Arms on the back, arms to the sky. Take a moment, breathe here. Once again, hands come down. This time I'm going to straighten into that front leg, bringing hands onto the hips as I draw myself up. And any way I can get there, I'm going to step my feet together. Again, I'm turning just so you can see what I'm doing. Hands to the heart. Let's ground through our left foot. Lift our right heel. And I'm going to start to notice how I can engage all the muscles in the side body. I'm also going to look at one point that does not move, whatever that is, wherever you are. Could be your floor, the wall, piece of furniture, definitely not something that's alive. Living things move. Let that right knee go out to the side. You can work here. If you want, bringing that right foot onto the inside of the left leg. And if you're feeling stable here, arms to the sky. Don't worry if you don't want to raise the arms or you don't want to raise the foot. Hands to heart, foot to the ground. Take a moment, shake it off. Second side, hands to heart. I'm going to ground through that right foot. Lift my left heel. Everything starts to engage. Left knee to the side. I work here. If I want, I'm going to bring that foot to the inside of my standing leg. And maybe I'm a saguaro cactus, or for those of you not in Arizona, a goalpost. Breathe here. Maybe everyone knows what saguaro cactus looks like at this point. Don't worry if you lose your balance. Hands to the heart. Let that foot come down. Shake it off. Step your feet wider than your hips. So if I was standing sideways, they'd be as wide as my mat. I'm I'm going to turn towards the left. My right heel lifts. My arms are just going to sway as I go side to side. This is actually Tai Chi, called Dragon Tails. I find it to be a nice little release if I get frustrated or if I've been sitting a long time. This is a good one too. And as you're ready, come back to center. Let's go ahead and turn so that you're situated like I am with your feet facing the long side of your mat. We're just going to heel toe. You could also step your feet until they're about 4 feet apart. Toes in, heels out. Let that heart lead. Just as a reminder, this is how I would look if I let my chin lead. If I keep my chin in line, this is how it looks to let my heart lead. And maybe those hands come down. I could always bring forearms above the knees again. And I could do some gentle side to side. And then just take a moment, again, gently shake the head no, and gently nod yes for gratitude. Knees can be bent as much as you'd like here. Gentle bend in both knees, hands to the hips, roll yourself up. And let's go ahead, right from here, I'm going to turn my left heel back, my right toes forward, bend into my right knee, arms out like wings, gazes over my right fingers, warrior two. Chest is open here, right palm to the sky, left palm to left thigh, reaching that right arm to the sky. If my balance supports it, I can always look up at my hand. From here, inhale, front leg to straight, reach back. This is reverse triangle. And again, you can always look up. That's harder on my balance, so I don't usually teach that in prenatal. Release both arms like wings. I'm going to tilt this right hip and let my left hand come to my thigh. Right arm could come to the sky or my hip. This hand could always come all the way down as well. It could come all the way to the floor if that works for you. Just keep your chest open. If I drop that hand to the floor, I'm going to close off my chest. Gentle bend from here, bend that front knee, and bring your forearm to the knee. So again, arm on the hip, or it could be somewhere overhead. Now, wherever you are, just like magic, you're going to find warrior two, hands to the hips, and switch those feet out. My right heel goes back, my left toes go forward. I'm going to bend into that left knee, arms out like wings. Breathe here. Left palm to the sky, right palm to right thigh. Up and over, gaze up or straight ahead. You could even look down. Everything the same, just straighten into that front leg, reverse triangle. And then we're going to release both arms and legs to straight. I'm going to tilt my right hip back. Left hand can come anywhere on the front leg. Right arm can reach. It could also be on my hip. I'm going to bend into that front knee. Choose what I'd like to do with that right arm. Side angle. This one's different. Gaze down at your toes. Let both hands come down. Lift your back heel and let that back knee come down. Followed by the right. Let's go ahead and drop our right hip to the mat. Take a moment, swing those legs forward. I could keep my hands right here. I could also rest them on my thighs. Feet are going to be a little wider than hip distance, and I'll rotate my ankles. And go the other direction. Shake it out. Let's extend that left leg to the side. Sole of the right foot comes inside. This is where if you've got some blocks, you could bring them in, and just as you fold yourself forward, you could use those. So we're going to inhale, grow tall. Exhale, let that heart lead. Think of coming towards your knee. And again, I could bring my arms right here. I don't have to. I could have my arms come onto the floor as well. For me, this stretches the extended leg. I could always bend it if that stretches too much. And it gives me a stretch on my lower back. And I like to hold here just for a moment. So we do want hips to be relaxed. We want to be able to find that when you're in labor. We do get tight in our hips when we sit, and of course we all sit, right? There's no way around that. If you drive a car or you work on a computer, most likely you sit. If you have a desk where you're able to stand up, that's a great way to release some of the time that you're sitting. It is important to have one of those mats that is real padded for you to stand on, so that you've got that nice support if you stand all day long. You could use the hands to bring yourself up to a comfortable sitting shape. Let's go ahead and bend that left knee, bring it to the sole of the right foot. I'm going to take my left hand to my left hip. Right hand is going to come onto the floor. So slowly I'm going to lift, look over my left shoulder. Inhale, center, and then exhale, I'm going to look over the right. Just a couple times like that, slow and easy. So when folks ask me about my channel, I do tell them, hey, you can do the prenatal workout. If you're looking for a gentle flow, you can absolutely do this. You don't have to be pregnant. So if you have a family member who needs to practice yoga, bring them in. And as you come back to center, again, just lift and lower. Just a smaller movement. And let that hip come down. Let's keep this left leg in front. I'm going to take my right hand to my left knee, my left hand on the floor near my hip. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, letting the heart lead, gentle twist. So the big torquing twists that we do when you're not pregnant, you get to save those until after you've had your baby, after you've recovered. And twists, of course, are always that sweet reminder to release and let go. So noticing, what do I need to let go of? If I'm going to be grateful, what do I release in this moment? As you're ready, inhale back to center. Let's go ahead. If you're using the blocks, get those ready. You don't need them, but if you're using them, we'll extend the right leg, sole of the left foot to the inside of the leg. I'm going to inhale, moving with a tall spine. Exhale, my heart leads. And as I'm ready, folding over that right leg. So I can bend into the leg if needed. I could also work upright. I don't have to fold forward. carefully bring yourself back up to a comfortable sitting shape. I'm going to move my blocks off to the side, bend that right knee, bringing it to the sole of the left foot, left hand down, right hand onto the hip. We start with those slow movements. As I exhale, I'm looking over my right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. Back and forth. Let's find one more. And when you come back to center, we find those little lifts, just releasing into that hip. And go ahead and let that hip come down, crossing the right leg in front. We'll take our left hand to the right knee, right hand near the right hip. Inhale, tall spine. As I exhale, I'm going to let my heart gently lead towards the right. So again, I'm being very gentle when I twist. I do not make deep twists during a prenatal yoga class. I want to keep this range of motion, but I also want to be gentle about it. As you're ready, inhale, center. Let's find those back bends that I promised, using the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, a couple of beach towels will work as well. Starting on hands and knees, I bring this bolster right up to my knees. So I want my thighs to wind up on the bolster, and I hold it in place with one hand, walk myself forward with the other, and lower down. So I'm finding what would be considered a cobra shape. If you want it, you can lower elbows down. We'll do this twice, so you can do it both ways. This is more of a Sphinx. And if you're in Sphinx and you're in your third trimester, your baby's probably gonna touch your mat. And I always say to moms, don't worry, if they don't like it, they'll kick you. You'll know. Take a moment here and breathe. Back bends help to energize us. Forward folds help us to calm down. So think of that when you're in labor. And as you're ready, bringing those hands to the mat so you can walk yourself back. Take a moment, hands and knees. Notice cat-cow, hips and shoulders together. Rotating your hips. Everything, you can do all of them. Second back bend, again, I like to hold that bolster or the towels, walk myself forward. And again, I'm gonna choose. I could have my hands planted, my arms straight. I could lower my elbows. If you have arms straight and you're feeling a big stretch in the belly, definitely lower the elbows down. That will decrease the intensity. You really want to listen to your body and notice, what is my body asking for? Way more important than anything I'm saying. Just another breath or two here. And when you're ready, elbows down, bring those hands back. Come back to a sitting shape. We're gonna find our way to our resting shape. I'm gonna get a little drink of water before we come into that. Maybe you want to do that as well. So if you liked the shape we started with and you've got a bolster and some blocks, you could always come into that. I think for my demonstration of our closing shape, I'm going to sit with my back against the wall. I want you to be supported. If you feel supported sitting in the middle of the mat without using the wall, you could absolutely do that. And wherever you are, letting those hands rest, letting your eyes close, breathing in and out through the nose. If you're still doing that, you could just release that, breathe in a way that feels comfortable. And again, touching base with yourself and noticing, what am I grateful for in this moment? We'll be here for about 5 minutes, breathing, relaxing together. Whether you're sitting or reclining on a bolster, let some movement come into your fingers. Maybe your toes softly wiggle. Could rotate into the wrist. And go ahead and let the hands and feet stop moving. As you exhale, let your chin turn to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, chin goes left. Inhale back to center. If you're sitting, you're exactly where you need to be. If you're on a bolster, carefully roll to your left side. Take a moment, take a couple of breaths here. And as you're ready, finding your way to a comfortable sitting shape, we'll all meet in a sitting shape, perhaps hands at the heart. If you'd like, the eyes can softly close. Notice every day what you're grateful for and enjoy the miraculous journey of pregnancy that you are on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to make a healthy choice for yourself. Namaste. Thank you everyone. I'm going to be posting more prenatal as well as some other classes on this channel. I believe I'm going to be dropping classes on Saturdays, so stay tuned, see what comes next. All right, take care. Bye-bye.